Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Celtic dominate the PFA Player of the Year awards. Hibs boss reveals depression in the title run-in. Dundee United signed James Keatings on a pre-contract. Just a few of the headlines on Monday night's programme. Alan Ruff is alongside me. Peter Martin, our bookroom guest, as ever, is Gordon Smith for the Monday. Lots to talk about for the guys to get their teeth into. A weekend of drama across all four divisions in Scottish football. We'll look back at last night's PFA Scotland Player of the Year awards as well. Let's have a look at the back page headlines, which are dominated by the PFA. Sinclair, the green sweep is what the Daily Record sums it up. And the main headline, Care Bears, as Rangers players show the passion in scoring a last-minute winner against Partick Thistle. And, of course, there's a bit of pressure on Ian Cathro after that disappointing home defeat to say farewell to the old main stand. What about the Sun? There you have it. Pedro Caixinha more than happy with the win, and a little story there on Ryan Jack, all set to miss the Scottish Cup final. And the Mail, it's got the game that Rangers won so dramatically against Partick Thistle, and also Derek McInnes there just mentioning that they've been doing the talking on the pitch to secure second place, and it's all but in the bag for them, barring, of course, an unbelievable switch in the goal difference. And the Courier has a fantastic picture of Dick Campbell with the League Two trophy as Arbroath snatched it on the last day from Forfar, and well done to the players and, of course, the manager, Dick Campbell. That's how the papers look. Lots to talk about. Of course, some harrowing stories emerging today as well. So let's get our teeth into Neil Lennon mentioning that he was suffering from depression going into the season with Hibs. I mean, that's something, again, when you talk about the work that the PFA does, I think a lot of people, realise that you can get help with things like this.
Yeah, and again, people have to realise that managers and players are no different from the individual who's not playing football. There are pressures that go with being a footballer and a football manager, and sometimes it's very hard to deal with it. But you're right, there are people out there who can help you. I don't know if Neil took some help or whether he dealt with it himself, but it definitely is something that we have to look at.
Yeah, and Gordon, you'll be more aware of this than anyone, that players, sometimes this perception, if you've got lots of money, you've got no problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Neil Lennon has already stated he's had the problem in the past too. It's not just this season he's had it, he had it in previous years as well. And it's something that if you've got it, it doesn't quickly go away. It's just something you have to deal with. And it's good that there is help now. There are people counselling that can come in in the football sense as well. The PFA try to do their best to find out which players this is affecting. Well, if it managers as well, obviously they can get help too, but we need to find that out and help them, because as you say, Peter, it's not a case of you think they've got a lovely career and everything goes well, but people do have mental problems in any walk of life.
Yeah, I think it's very brave of him to come out and let everybody know about this as well, because one, it can act as an incentive for others to follow suit, Ruffy, but more to the point, I think a number of people say, well, we can help you.
Mm-hmm. I think that we can help you is the best thing about it. I think that's the most important thing, that people like Neil Lennon come out, and let's not kid ourselves on. There will be a lot of people out there with depression. I mean, not everybody, as you said, leads a high life. There are other times when there is nobody to turn to. So I think he's made it aware, and the union made it aware last night, that we're here, and if you need help, come and seek it.
Yep, absolutely. I thought the chairman, John Rankin, put across a very pertinent point on that. We'll discuss the PFA Scotland Awards very shortly. Just another little bit of news that emerged today. I was quite surprised by it. James Keatings has decided to sign for Dundee United on a pre-contract, Gordon.
Yes, I think probably on the basis that he hasn't really been getting in at Hibs regularly. I think he started 15 games this season, Peter, so he's not been a regular in the team. He has done well. I mean, he's got a good goal-scoring record wherever he's been. You know, he was at Hamilton, he left Celtic as a kid, never really broke through there. But he's been at Hamilton, done well, he was at Hearts, and now at Hibs. And his goals per game record of starts is very good. So I think that he's a little bit frustrated, and I think probably when the offer came up to Dundee United, you know, it must be on the basis that they've said to him, you know, we feel you could be a first team player here. And I think that that's maybe what he's done, because if Jason Cummings remains at Hibs, it's always going to be hard for him to break through James Keating. So I think that obviously he's got an opportunity there to go for a manager who sees him as a first team player.
Yeah, and of course, you've got a good record in playoffs as well, getting clubs up into the Premiership, Ruffy.
Yeah, I'm surprised, you know, that Hibs haven't tried to hold on to him. But again, I think it's the player's decision and not the club's decision. I'm sure they would have wanted him to be there because they know what he's like when he comes on. He generally scores a goal. He's a good player to have about the place. But obviously, as Gordon said, he wants regular first team football.
Yep, okay. Let's switch our attention to last night's awards. You missed yourself, Gordon. Honestly, it was magnificent, wasn't it, Ruffy? Yeah. You couldn't think of a better night out. You know, free food, free drink. Well, for you anyway. And you know, lots of players there enjoying the end of the season. Some players having to be very, very careful because they've got playoffs. But the Player of the Year went to Scott Sinclair from Celtic, and there he is. I thought he spoke really well last night, Ruffy.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent guy, you know, and it was great that he appreciates where his career was going down south before he decided to come up to Celtic, and he was just so happy he's here, you know, enjoyed football, enjoying Champions League, enjoying what's happening at Celtic, and yeah, I thought everything he said was very positive.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see him there holding up the trophy on a very sunny day at Lennox Town. Absolutely delighted with it, and well, here's what he had to say about winning that award in the first place.
It's obviously a great honour, especially getting voted by your fellow professionals who you play against week in, week out, and you know, it is a great feeling. The thing is obviously the main thing for me was to come up here and enjoy my football again and get that happiness back into my life of playing week in, week out, and having a manager obviously believes in me, and you know, I couldn't have asked for much more, and obviously to get Player of the Year is a special feeling for me.
I thought he provided a great lesson for many a younger player, Gordon Smith. You know, sometimes it's better to be happy playing football. You know, you could go join a club, suddenly you're sitting in the reserves, you're not kicking a ball at all.
Yeah, that's how I always feel about it myself, Peter. I had circumstances in my own career a couple of times where that was the option, and I didn't want to be there not playing. I just wanted to play regardless. It wasn't even about money or anything. It's just a matter of you've got to realise yourself, your career is short. You've only got so much time, and I don't understand how some players can be quite happy just to sit there season after season in the reserves and not play. I would rather go to a lower level and play than not play. So that is a good lesson to everybody. And I think it was a very tight, I would think, contest between him and Dembele, and I thought Stuart Armstrong had a great chance as well. I won it. Johnny Hayes obviously has had a great season for Aberdeen, but regardless of which one was going to win, they were very worthy winners, and I think he thoroughly deserved it too.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, good first season, 25 goals for Celtic, and he's got even more targets ahead.
To keep improving, I think you know, the season isn't done yet. Hopefully we can finish off with a treble, and you know, you look back and what you achieve as a team and personal goals, and you go again and make sure you try and beat that the next season. Well, to be honest, this first season I didn't really set many. The most important for me was sort of to get my football back on track and get that enjoyment back. And now I have. I will sit down, you know, when the season's all finished and look back and look to ways to improve and you know, just build and keep improving.
And rather ominously, Ruffy, his manager Brendan Rodgers says he wants to bring in 2 or 3 players of the calibre of Scott Sinclair.
Yeah, and I think that's what excites the players like Scott Sinclair. You know, they've obviously been told, you know, come up here, you'll be our main players this year, but this is the way we're looking ahead. These are the kind of players I'm going to be bringing in, and that's what's possibly attracting the players that he's got already. And I think the Celtic supporters, like everybody else, are anticipating what level the next couple of players are that are coming in.
Yep, okay. We're going to look at more of the awards from last night, certainly across the lower divisions as well. We'll also be looking at the weekend results and the implications for quite a few clubs who are going to be involved in playoffs. We will discuss that, and we're also going to test your knowledge of previous playoff matches with this little question. Join us after the break if you can. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. Delighted to have new viewers in Aberdeen, Dundee and Ayr, as well as our regular campaigners in Edinburgh and Glasgow. Joining us to talk football, Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith are with me here in the studio this evening. And of course, Scott Sinclair may well have picked up the Player of the Year, the Young Player of the Year, again dominated by Celtic. Kieran Tierney, was he a worthy winner? Was there someone else that you thought might have sneaked it, Ruffy?
No, I said I think year on year, I think he's matured. I think he's getting better. He looks stronger. You know, he's obviously in the Scotland squad now. You can see even he's getting more experience in front of the camera. He's saying all the right things, and I think the young boy is just getting better and better and better. And we all talk about Dembele moving on, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody out there hovering about, you know, ready to put in a bid for him.
Well, the one blessing I think for Celtic fans on this point, Gordon Smith, is quite simply when asked the question, he said, you know, I grew up dreaming of playing for Celtic, not anybody in the Premier League in England for the moment, but, you know, money talks.
It can, especially for clubs, you know, if they get a huge bid, they might think, well, that could help with things. But Celtic don't really require the money as such at the moment. And I think if you've got a player of that kind of quality at that age, you know, you can have him for a few years yet, even before you even need to consider a transfer, because he's only, you know, he's only a kid. But I think outstanding. I think he was definitely deserved to win this award. You know, even must have been because of his age, obviously, but he could even have been a candidate for the full award as well, Player of the Year, because, you know, I've hardly seen him have a bad game. He's now got in the Scotland team, and what was fantastic was he was able to play right back as well, and showed a lot of skill and determination playing right back. So I think that he's a top-class player, and he's got a great future ahead of him.
Yeah, one thing that impressed me last night, Ruffy, was talking to Brendan Rodgers on the stage. He came up, he was gracious, accepting the award, and also paid tribute to his fellow managers and Scottish football since he arrived up here.
Yeah, I think he's been very positive since he's come up here. He's talked up the game. I think he's made the game more exciting up here, obviously with the run that Celtic's on. But he's so focused on everything he says, you know, even when he talks about other things, you know, he is so fine detail. And I don't know if you noticed it as well, where every Celtic player that came up for an award was singing from the same hymn sheet. You know, when you asked them, you know, what are your objectives for the rest of the season, they just man for man said the same thing that Brendan Rodgers said. You know, we're focused on the next game, we're not focused on the treble, we're not talking about being invincibles, we're just concentrating, and it seems to be right along the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're getting in his team, Ruffy, with this fitness thing that he's on. Yeah. We're not making it at all. We wouldn't have got any kind of selection. I think we would need to have signed a pre-contract elsewhere. Moussa Dembele won the goal of the season. This was, of course, you know, a string of passes right across the entire team against St Johnstone before Dembele eventually, you know, scored from a wonderful bit of build-up play.
It's amazing. I think it's sometimes very hard. I've had to do it in the past, Peter, in terms of judging a goal of the month and then goal of the season. It's a hard thing to do because there are different types of goals. Yeah. You know, there are goals, as you say, that goal, which is actually all about the teamwork of it. There are goals which is an individual player doing something, and then the third element is a great strike. So I think there are three different types of goals, and I think that's because that makes it very hard to judge and say what the best goal is when you're looking at that, whether you think, is it down to a team effort or is it an individual player's But that was obviously that one's been judged, and the players have thought because of all the teamwork that was involved, and it is a great goal when a lot of players in the team are involved in the move.
Yeah, congratulations to John McGinn. He won the Championship Player of the Year. I don't think he'll be at Hibs next season, Ruffy. What do you make of that line?
Yeah, and I think you asked him a question, didn't you? And I can't remember what the exact answer was, but it wasn't like a definite, no, I'm going to be here next year.
Yeah.
You know, it was a sort of an answer that was thrown up into the air.
I always feel when players pause, Ruffy, it's when I can. You're on that. Anybody who pauses for more than 2 or 3 seconds, the cat's out of the bag, But I think just basically because he's been so impressive as a player for Hibs, and he reckons that, whether he's there or not, he reckons Hibs are good enough to be top 6. I'll reserve judgment to see the type of signings that Neil Lennon is going to have to make to take them onto that level, and he knows better than most.
Yeah, I think you're right. Again, I mean, I keep talking about every team, every supporter's waiting to see the new players that are coming in, because there's a lot of teams out there need new players, and everybody will be anticipating who they are going to be. Some clubs will just be players coming in that they know from other clubs, but it's the surprise ones that you don't see coming that excite the supporters.
It's the same thing. The element of this one is the fact that if a bid comes in for him, it's a case of Neil Lennon will probably be saying, I want him for us in the Premier League, and then it's up to the club is to say, right, we're going to turn down this offer and go with it. The player himself can sometimes, if he knows about it, yourself, Ruffy, the player can actually push for this. So if it's a move that he does want, he'll be saying to them, like, I want to go. So it will depend who wants him and who would be interested in him. But I think there will be interest. I think there could be a bid for him this summer.
I'm just reading some of the back pages. Effie Ambrose would consider staying with Hibs next season in the Premiership. Whether they've got the money for that, who knows? Would you like to see that happen? The Hibs fans, you can get in touch with us at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. As far as the other awards, the League One Player of the Year was Liam Buchanan, and what a nice guy Liam Buchanan is. Right, left foot, headers, you name it. He was scoring all sorts of goals, and a worthy winner for Livingston.
Yeah, we sit here every Saturday in the Saturday show, and as soon as Livingston score a goal, I think we all know who it's going to be. And we got a chance last night to see the quality of his goals as well, and some of them were absolutely spectacular.
Yep, Shane Sutherland picked up the League Two Player of the Year award. He's certainly a boy that could play at a higher level. No disrespect, of course, to Elgin City, but over and above that, he's picked up an injury. So I did say to him, Gordon, congratulations on getting a 2-year deal, even with an injury. It's not bad going, but I think he's happy up in that area of Scotland.
Absolutely, they would desperate to sign him up though, because as you say, Peter, he's a consistent player, gets goals to them, he can play at a higher level. So putting him on a deal, who's to say as to whether they think, well, look, if we get any money for you, we'll give you a share of it, or whatever. But make sure, stay with us. You're injured just now, but we'll continue to pay your wages. Yep.
Coming up in the next part of the programme, we'll look at the Premiership results, then some of the key games that will result in playoff matches. Just before we get to the break, of course, there was a special merit award which was handed out to the Scotland women's national team. I was delighted that Megan Cunningham and Leanne Crichton came up to have a chat with us. There's lots of top footballers in the women's game now actually playing right across the globe, so to get the two girls, were really lucky to have a chat with them. And this is of course a Scotland side qualifying for a major tournament in the European Championships. It's not an easy group, Gordon, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm just delighted that they're there.
Well, it's it is a great achievement. They worked very hard at it. Women's football was a tough thing to try and get through, for them to get the funding and get the girls there. A lot of the girls are playing outside the country now. There's professional leagues in some of the other countries as well now, and the standard is a lot higher than it used to be, and I think it's great that we're up there with it now and qualifying for major tournaments.
Yeah, I was speaking to a guy last night who works heavily with the Football Association in Ireland. I mean, they were going on strike because of the FAI's treatment of their international side there. So clearly, people need to actually, I think, respect the game more. Certainly from the girls last night, they mentioned the fact that, football's on the rise. It's not at the standard that, that it'll probably get better and better as the years go on. And I think, lots of women will be similar to men, earning a considerable amount of money, Ruffy, in the future.
Yeah, I think we have to give credit to Glasgow City for starting it off by getting to European tournaments, and obviously they've kicked on from there. We've now got a women's team who are at, obviously, the finals that we're talking about, and as Gordon touched on as well, we have now players coming from other countries. We also have players going to other countries as well and playing, so globally it's getting bigger and bigger, but I think the women's football is no different from our young kids, 17s and 19s. You have to be at finals. You have to be at finals to improve, and if they go to these finals and do reasonably well, they can always look forward to the next one.
Yeah, well, I think just touching on your point there, you're talking about individual flag bearers. Kim Little is certainly one that I think a lot of young girls are now looking at and thinking, well, look at the career she's had, top player, top midfielder for a number of clubs. I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're right. It's a role model for a lot of the young girls playing the game. I mean, at first, a lot of them were held back from playing. Their parents didn't want them to do it, but it's becoming much more popular now with the kids and the young girls, and I think that's great because they'll see somebody like Kim Little who's going on to great things, playing at a high level, and she's very technically very, very good. I think the standard has risen amazingly enough.
Thanks to Gordon. He'll be back with us alongside Ruffy. We have our little half-time cup of tea. You'll get a bit of news, a wee break, and then we're back. We still have the question for you, and we'll have the answer to that. We're going to look at Rangers, and that last-minute winner. Was it over-exuberance, celebrating that 2-1 win over Thistle, or was it just showing the passion? Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. In the second half of the programme, Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith will look back at some of the key matches and the results as well. As far as the Premiership is concerned, this is how it all panned out over the weekend. In the Premiership, of course, Inverness defeating Hamilton in the Friday night game by 2-1. Celtic comfortable against St Johnstone, and they remain undefeated domestically. Dundee, what a huge goal. Marcus Haber's strike against Kilmarnock, and Motherwell are deep in trouble trying to avoid playoff or possible relegation. They lost to Ross County, and there you have it, confirmation of the late winner for Rangers, 2-1 at Partick Thistle, and Aberdeen finishing off the farewell to the Hearts main stand with a 2-1 win against the Tynecastle side, and a lot of Jambos not happy with the manager at the end of that game. So, what about the table? Here's how it looks. We're getting ever closer to the end. The only real thing that's up for grabs now is the final placings at the bottom end. Gordon, am I being unkind to Rangers and suggesting Aberdeen have finished second?
Well, Aberdeen are second. I mean, there's 9 points with 3 games to go, but the goal difference is huge. I can't see a huge turnabout in goals from these games. They're still to play each other as well, so Aberdeen are second. But the bottom's the most interesting part. I think we've lost a little bit of interest at the top. Just mainly on the basis that there's hardly going to be any changes, I think, in the placings of all 6 teams. Celtic aren't going to be caught, so nobody's going to change there. But at the bottom is very interesting. With Inverness getting that win on Saturday, it was lunchtime kick-off. Yeah. I think that was a crucial win for them because it gives them a chance to go down to Kilmarnock next week. Kilmarnock will look as if they're in a pretty safe position. They are safe from relegation as such. Inverness can't catch them in that respect, but Kilmarnock have got a poor home record. I mentioned this on Saturday before the match, before they played Dundee. They've not been winning too many home games, and then they lost at home on Saturday. So Inverness go there in their next game, and while they're doing that, with a possibility of picking up some points, you've got the game that's crucial down there of Hamilton Accies versus Motherwell, who are both sitting the same points. Now, would a draw be the best result for everybody else down in that area between the two of them? It might be. Yeah,
I'm just looking now. It's all about opinions, Ruffy. I think Inverness are gone, even with that rallying call against Hamilton Accies. I think Hamilton and Motherwell are going to be battling it out now for the playoff because, having spoken to Neil McCann, I think he's got something about Dundee now that they'll take them away from it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as Gordon said, that Kilmarnock haven't got a good home record. Inverness still have to go and win. you know, if they don't win, you know, and Motherwell or Hamilton pick up points, and it's going to be even more harder. So the scenario they're looking for is one of them to lose. And Inverness to win, and that means they're a point behind. And you're a point behind with 2 games to go, and in football terms, you're still in it.
Well, the interesting thing about that is, you're absolutely right, is that supposing Inverness did get the win and go to 31 points, and Motherwell lose to Hamilton, right? They'll have 32. Now, they've still both got another game, but the final game of the season is in Inverness, and it's Inverness versus Motherwell. Is the very last game of the season. We could have an actual playoff in that respect as well before even we get to the playoff for the second bottom spot between those two teams. If it doesn't go Motherwell's way, if Motherwell need to certainly get it going, they've got to get something, I think, in the next couple of games too.
Yep, absolutely. Well, at the top end, those 2 games I was talking about, Rangers, Pedro Caixinha, he's been mentioning a number of things about how Rangers are going to challenge. On the evidence of the game against Partick Thistle, very lucky to actually win the game, to be perfectly honest with you, Ruffy. You know, in a late winner that obviously brought about wild celebrations, I think a lot of more sensible Rangers fans are looking for much more evidence.
Yeah, I think anybody who watched the game would agree that Thistle should have had the game done and dusted. You know, it should have been 2-0 up. Again, the goalkeeper had a good save, fortunate save with his legs, and I think if Partick Thistle had went 2 up then, I don't think Rangers would have come back. But I think the scenes at the end was more relief than anything else. It was more after last week's result, they got a win, and I think everybody was just happy to go over the line. But it wasn't a great performance, but you have to give Rangers credit for coming back winning.
I think the reaction to the whole thing at the end was because they were thinking they were going to lose again, and it just turned around for them. You know what I mean? It was like, and they did score 2 terrific goals. I mean, Mackay's goal from a goalkeeper kick out up the field, and watching the game, I agree with you. The first half, Thistle were the better team. Thistle deserved to be at least 1 or 2 or 3 goals up, right? Second half, I felt Thistle dropped away. I thought their game went, and they weren't really competing as well as they were, and they were looking defensively a bit shaky. And credit to Rangers, they started to throw big long balls all the time. I've never seen them doing that, but it was causing Thistle some problems. The first goal came from that, was just Mackay controlling a kick out from Foderingham. Great bit of skill to flick it over the guy's head, beats his man and scores to make it 1 each. Now you're thinking, can Rangers go into there? And then Kenny Miller, you've got to give him a lot of credit. But Partick's defending for the second goal was shocking. I mean, to allow Kenny Miller so much time and space and to get the cross in, who's picking up Garner in the middle? Nobody at all. I mean, a cross coming in, you're thinking defenders are going to look and say, if somebody's running wide here trying to get a cross in, we need to find out who's the threat. No one picked him up. So in that respect, I think it was just total, I agree with you, exuberance and relief from Rangers' point of view, because they thought that was a game they were going to lose.
It's another factor when we had Alan Archibald in there, and I mean, I don't know what the exact points are, but if he was to look back in the season, that was another goal.
Late goal.
After 90 minutes, and if you add them up, I mean, I would hazard a guess at 12 points. Thrown away in the last 2 minutes of a game throughout the season.
Absolutely. I think with a bit of luck, I know I've said it to you over the last couple of days, Ruffy, but I think with the structure that's in place now and the fact that the board are going out of the way to back a very good manager, it could be bright times ahead for Thistle.
No, I thought in the first half, I thought the style of football was good on the eye, good passing, a lot of movement. There wasn't any of this just lumping the ball up the park. They were actually actively getting full-backs forward, getting the ball into the box. But the big failing is when you've only got 1 goal, when you can't get that second one, you then come into the category of, do we try and hang on to this 1 goal, or do we know we're not going to get another one? And I think that's why they're losing goals late on.
They look nervous.
They look nervous, and they're trying to sit on what they've got, and sometimes it just doesn't work for you.
Yeah, Hearts, this is going to be the most interesting summer, I think, for the board, who'll look and see what the season ticket response is. There is a certain amount of apathy towards Ian Catterall and the way his side are playing, and it wasn't the fitting farewell to the old main stand. Hearts players were coming out at the end with T-shirts on, thank you and farewell. There was practically nobody there to say goodbye.
Absolutely. I didn't see the game. I was listening to the sort of commentary, but I also had an interview from Anne Budge, and she was very supportive of Ian Cathro, actually, even though, you know, they might think, well, it's not been going that well. So I think they feel they have to back him, and I think he'll be there without doubt through the summer, and he'll be in charge come next season. But his record's not very good at the moment, and as you say, Peter's a great deal of apathy coming from the fans, because that was a big day. Because the whole day was really about the fact that it was, you know, a big match against a top side, but it was also the day when the stand was going to see the end of it. The fans are all there, the historical element to it and all that. But there was a degree of anger among the fans just in terms of the performance.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting for a minute, Ruffy, that Ian Cathro is going to get the bullet before the end of this campaign. Far from it. But the problem is you're dealing with a very, very shrewd businesswoman who will look at it, give him his place in the summer, let him make the signings. But again, I think, like Pedro Caixinha, September, October, they will look at it and say, where are we? What is this team doing on the field of play, and is it going to take us forward?
Yeah, I would think, I would agree with you. If things don't happen in the first 2 months, if it continues the way it's going just now, first of all, the Hearts supporters won't want that to happen. But Anne Budge, we saw the interview saying somebody asked him about what is progress for Hearts. And she said, well, we're third last year, we want to be second. And they were second, and now they've dropped to where they were. And I think the biggest thing is how they identify a different bunch of players, because that bunch of players that come in, Hearts were always a team who you knew you were going to be in a fight with. Yeah. Yesterday, they were getting wee niggles in their leg and rolling about the ground, and just no fight whatsoever.
Just a brief thing before we go to the break, Gordon. I think Adam Rooney deserves a special mention. That's 20 goals again for the season. Third consecutive year that he's done that. He wasn't in the running for any major awards, but scoring these goals, he's been invaluable to the Dons.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of these players, I've said it before, that his key element to it is putting the ball in the net. And if you've got somebody like that, he becomes a very, very important player. In general, in terms of his rest of his play, there's not a lot of other things I would say were special about him, but it's pretty special if you can score regularly over 20 goals in a season, and that's why the Aberdeen fans, he's very popular with them, and that's why he continues to get a game.
Yep, okay, after the break, we'll give you the answer to our quiz question. We'll also look to the Championship. We'll hear from Neil Lennon. We'll also hear from Jack Ross, and we will be speaking to a St Mirren fan, a happy one at that, because Saints actually managed to pull off the great escape. They are still in the Championship. Quite a comprehensive win for Kilmarnock in the playoff last season. This season, who's going to be involved in it? Give us your thoughts on it at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. As a number of chairmen and owners, certainly in the Premiership, just getting a little nervy. And is there a pot of gold at the end for the likes of Falkirk, Morton or Dundee United? Who's your choice? Let's look to the games over the weekend in the Championship. In the end, St Mirren, you can see there with a 1-1 draw against Hibernian. It was Falkirk edging it against Dumbarton. I think Dumbarton's point last week was absolutely huge to keep them in the Championship. Morton and Dundee United couldn't be separated, and they're going to go head to head this week in the playoffs. And Dunfermline with a narrow win over Queen of the South, and Wraith Rovers, regardless of the win over Ayr United, they're going to have to battle it out in the playoffs as well. Here's the Championship table confirmation of how it all looks, top and bottom. And Falkirk, Dundee United, Morton. I just have a sneaky feeling, Ruffy, about Peter Houston's Falkirk.
Yeah, we keep talking about form and form at the right time, and certainly they look as if they have. I think Morton will be encouraged by getting that wee point against Dundee United. They were on a wee slump there, but that might just give them the encouragement to get back to where they were. But certainly Falkirk look as if they're the team that everybody's got to beat.
They still haven't a win in the last 9 games on Morton, so you know they're not winning matches as such. So I think that's why I think Dundee United will be in the playoff final for the championship against Falkirk.
Yep. We mentioned Neil Lennon at the top of the programme after that 1-1 draw with St Mirren. He was quite interesting in the after-match press conference, just suggesting that getting in at Hibs, knowing what the remit was for the job, and then suddenly just realising that the club was actually growing on him.
You know, a real personal amount of pride in the club, and the people I work for, people I work with, and the players. It meant a hell of a lot. I was trying not to get emotional out there, you know, but it meant really. I think the older you get, the more it means to you. When you play, you take it for granted. Obviously, at a big club like Celtic, and then as a manager at Celtic, your expectations are there to win the league, and people don't see much of it. Yeah, we went into the championship this season as favourites, but we certainly merited the championship tag. We've won the league handsomely, and just immensely proud of everyone associated with the club. It's really grown on me. It's got on the end of my skin, you know, so didn't think it would, but it has. So yeah, it's a great feeling, you know, one of pleasure for everyone else, because in this job sometimes you get the opportunity to make a lot of people very happy. You do make them angry at times and upset as well, but you get days like this where they go home really happy and proud. And from a personal point of view, it means a hell of a lot.
What an interesting comment. I think a lot of Hibs fans will, be happy to hear that from their boss.
Yeah, but that's Neil Lennon. You know, Neil Lennon got the Celtic job because of the fans.
Yeah.
He has a rapport with the fans wherever he goes. They know where he's coming from. And it worked at Celtic and it's worked at Hibs because they get somebody who really feels for what he's doing. They can see it in the interviews, they can see it the way he reacts, and that's why the fans have taken to him. That's why he's taken to the fans.
Yeah, and I think the 1-1 draw, I don't know how anyone in their right mind, Gordon, would have suggested St Mirren not getting a point at the weekend. They did indeed get the point, and you can tell Jack Ross was a happy man.
I know I've said often that I never thought we'd be relegated. I genuinely didn't. I never imagined life in League One, and even strangely enough, coming today, I never imagined the playoffs. I always thought we would be okay. But I think the game for me was probably United away at Somerset Park. I think it was January, or beginning of February, I think it was. And we, if we'd lost that day, we would have went a substantial amount of points behind. And with the best will in the world, it would have been difficult to get back. And we played well that day, deserved to win the game, and I think the players grew from then. And then and all these must-win games that we had every week, they were great.
Yeah, great for the Saints fans. Nervy, but he's transformed that club.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I think all credit to him, because we did look at it and say it's going to be really tough for them, the amount of points they were behind, but if they could put together a great run and keep the consistency going, momentum is always the word we use here, and he did that, and got to give them a lot of credit, because even that last game there to go to Easter Road, which was against the champions, a team in really good form, winning most of their games, and get that vital point, that was crucial, and I think, thoroughly deserved, and he's looking now to take St Mirren forward to another level. They don't want to be again in that relegation zone. They want to be up challenging for a promotion spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Earlier today I caught up with a St Mirren fan we've had on the programme before to get his thoughts on it. Of course, David McDonald, well happy with what they produced since Jack has taken over at St Mirren, and he accepts the Great Escape theme was being sung, and now it's realised.
The sun is shining in Paisley, Peter. A magical weekend. Really, really pleased. The great night Saturday night. They played the Rio night as well. The team were all there. Everybody was in great form, as you can imagine. So absolutely delighted.
Yeah. Did you believe, or were you at that point at Easter Road thinking this is not going to happen?
It was. I did, as I said on your show a couple of weeks ago, and I predicted we'd beat Raith and Hibs. Actually, I was confident, but it's the afternoon wore on Saturday. It's so many ups and downs because we were keeping our eye on what was happening at Kirkcaldy, and obviously with Raith's goalie getting sent off in the first minute, and then Ayr equalising, and Hibs going ahead, and then Ayr missing the penalty, and it was all it was an unbelievable rollercoaster of emotion, and there was a few tears shed, and not just by me at full time. Let me tell you, it was. Unbelievable, but I was confident the team had it in them to get a point, and I think towards the end of the game both teams were very happy with a point, so all good. A lovely afternoon in Easter Road.
Yeah, I don't think I'm overpraising him enough, but the job Jack Ross has done since he came in, he's transformed St Mirren.
Yeah, that's it. It has been a transformation. I mean, it took a while. The first few games he lost as well, but once he got his own players in and stamped his style on the team, we didn't really look back. And the form we're showing in the last 3 months has been title-winning form, to be fair. And he deserves a huge amount of credit because not only have we stayed up, but we've stayed up playing really good football. And I think if you actually look at it, to stay up on goal difference is a testament to the amount of goals we've scored. I think we're one of the top 3 scorers in the league now. So we got a reward for playing attacking football and scoring lots of goals. Feel sorry for Raith and Ayr, but at the end of the day, a club of our size shouldn't have been down there in the first place.
Yeah, 2 quick points to finish then. Of course, Jack reckons that you could be challenging for the title. Do you share his optimism?
I'd like to think so, but it'll depend if we can keep the likes of Rory Loy, maybe Cammy Smith, if we could sign those players permanently, persuade Gary McKenzie to stay on, sign 1 or 2 more. You know, it's all going to be down to try to keep the majority of the squad. And obviously you've got the likes of Morgan and McGuinness and Mallon, who are all going to attract interest, especially Mallon, who's only got a year left. I can't see him staying. I think he'll get a move, and he deserves a move. And we've kind of got to give the young players, that platform. So I'd wish him well, as long as we get a kind of good value for him.
Yeah, well, that's the point I was just about to make to you. You know, apart from obviously the achievements of getting away from relegation, some of the key players are obviously going to be moving out. Jack is going to have to work his magic again to try and get something of a similar standard, somebody that can contribute to make sure you are challenging.
Yeah, and to do what he did in January, which is a really hard market to work in, you kind of hope that he can do even better in the summer, but it is going to be tough. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not a huge club with money to throw around. John McGinn moves on at Hibs. That would be a windfall for us because we've got a big sell-on clause there. We've got a sell-on clause in Kenny McLean at Aberdeen as well, who's been speculation about as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, we're a selling club. The academy is there to bear fruit, and these young boys will move on. And at the end of the day, you've got to wish them well. And if they get a big move, then it shows that we're doing something right.
Yeah, well done to St Mirren for escaping relegation. There are playoff matches this week. Here's a look at what's on offer. It's Morton Dundee United tomorrow night, then Airdrie Alloa, Brecon against Raith Rovers on the Wednesday for the Championship playoff, and the League One playoff is Annan Forfar and Montrose Peterhead. That's the first legs to look forward to. Over and above that, well done to Dick Campbell, Arbroath League Two champions, the last team to get over the line. Yeah. Well done to him.
Yeah, we talk about big clubs attracting managers to win Champions League. Dick Campbell is certainly the manager. If you want to win a title in the lower divisions, he's your man. You know, he's proved it year on year with different clubs that he can get you promotion.
Yep, absolutely. OK, we've crammed as much as we possibly can into the programme. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night. On the programme will be Brian Prunty. He was the striker who helped Arbroath get over the line to win the League Two title. And congratulations to everyone who was nominated last night at the PFA Scotland Player of the Year Awards. Well done to all the winners. It was a fabulous night. The cream of Scottish football, and they celebrated, and rightly so. From Gordon Ruffy and myself, good night.